Today's question is about how you can tell which information you can trust and rely on. First thing to look for is if someone is trying to incite emotion, especially fear, that's probably unreliable information. Science and technical information is really quite boring usually. It is not emotional. Scientists are trained to look at facts and logic, to not mess that emotion part into it. That makes us really boring in the way that we describe things, but it also means that we can move away from fear, because as scientists, we understand that fear is the enemy of curiosity, and we need curiosity for science. In addition to paying attention to fear and anger-based emotion, it's also important to look for black and white arguments. That's usually a red flag that is not trustworthy information. Science operates on a continuum of best known truths at a time. We form these things called hypotheses where we test them, and as a scientist, you could be right or wrong, and we use hypotheses to figure this out. So as scientists, we talk about things in terms of probabilities. Now again, that can actually be misleading to the public who's not used to this, because it sounds like we are uncertain. We're not yes and no or black and white. The third thing is to look for people who engage in active conversation. They're willing to discuss, to hear your concerns. That type of a discussion is really important, and that's something that technical experts and scientists are trained to do. Because we're always learning, we're always gathering more information, and that's really important to the advancement of science. And the last thing is you can look for somebody who has a professional designation. And I should point out, this is a nice to have. What I'm meaning here by professional designation is a professional engineer, professional chemist, professional biologist. There's some variations of this, but if you look for somebody with that professional designation, that's different than somebody with a PhD. I have a PhD. A professional designation can be bestowed on somebody who has a bachelor's degree, a master's, or a PhD, but it means that they are registered within a governing body that has an ethics charter. It has a discipline area that they have to register under. And so if they are doing something questionable, there are guidelines to report them, and they can lose that professional designation. Those of us that have professional designations, we actually use this to sign off and stamp on specific types of documents. So losing that is a very big thing to us. So we govern ourselves accordingly, make sure that we're abiding by the guidelines and ethics of our discipline. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to have a professional designation in order to be very knowledgeable about something. I love doing internet research on a number of different topics. You can get a lot of information about a lot of things by doing your own research without degrees, without professional designations. But these are some guidelines to look for. So if you are doing your own research online, I encourage you to pause every once in a while and think, am I getting emotional about this? How do I feel about this? Am I staying objective? What are the things that could convince me I'm wrong? Because that's important. Every scientist keeps that in mind. What are the things that would have to happen to convince me this is wrong? And you can actually form a hypothesis around that. You can test it, and you can prove that right or wrong. You always have to be open to new information. And you also need to stop and consider, where's my scale of gray on this? Am I being black and white about it? Am I absolute? Or am I open to discussion? Can I actually have a meaningful conversation with somebody of a different opinion on this topic? Those are things that are going to make your own internet research much more valuable and much more informative to you, and you're going to go bigger places.